Dubai's property market was already under pressure long before COVID-19 and the oil price crash. And the prospects for many developers are looking even grimmer now. But the chairman of DAMAC Properties is adamant that his company will pull through. Hussain Sajwani spoke exclusively to my colleague Yusuf Gamal Al-Din.
This crisis, in my view, it's one of the biggest crises mankind is facing. And the challenges are enormous. This is going to be nothing, 2008 going to compare like a piece of cake to the Corona crisis. Leave apart from Dubai, this is something very global and it's very severe. Some health organizations are expecting in a second round, we could see 1 billion people infected, just even if it's 100 million. I give you one example. In Japan, out of 4 ambulances, only 1 reaches the hospital barely on time, and the other 3 have to wait 9 hours. How many people today are dying, which I know some people personally have passed away in UK, nothing to do with Corona, could not reach the hospital because he had a heart attack. So the situation is very, very severe and very serious.
So how does that affect how you look at what the company might be able to pull off this year?
See, my advice is to the global business leader to be ready for the worst. I give you an example. In 2008, my biggest strength was how I saved the company. I was ready for the worst of the worst, where my colleagues, my other business friends, they were saying this is a matter of 3 to 6 months. And I went at the time to the banks and negotiated 3-year extension. And the banks were telling me 6 months is sufficient enough. Today, in Damac, with alhamdulillah, with God's grace, we've been ready much earlier. In 2018 and 2017 December, I saw that the market going to soften. And as you know, last year in October, I told you the market is in a difficult shape and we need to stop the supply. The silver line here in Dubai, the government has done a great job of controlling this disease. Of course, nobody is perfect and yet we have a lot of work to do, but they've done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
We in Damac, few things which we did in the last 2 years. Number one, we did not do any launches, only 1 launch last year for a small building. And even the year before, for about 2.5 years, we did 2 small launches. Number 2, which is the most important thing, we did not give payment plans at 5% upfront, 5 years extension. And we were very strict on that. And I remember the same thing in 2007, which saved us. In 2007, there's a lot of developers giving 5%.
Yeah. If I can just interject here, you're saying you're taking the steps proactively. You've been critical in the past of the Real Estate Management Committee that is looking to trim down the supply a little bit. Has the committee lived up to your expectations in the last 3 months? And are your competitors finally doing their bit to contribute in terms of cutting back on projects?
To answer you frankly, today my competitors are forced to. They have no choice because their receivables is going to be huge. I understand already some of them frozen or halted some projects and they're going to cancel some projects. So I don't think by any logic when they're canceling projects, they're going to be doing new launches. So today they have no choice and they have to manage their, of course, everybody has to manage their cash flow. So if there is any silver line in the subject, I don't think there are going to be any more launches. If the launch is going to stop, most of the 2020, most of the 21, I think in October 21, when the expo starts, we could see market start changing in a positive view. Today, I think it's a great opportunity to buy because products are selling in secondary market below the replacement cost. And actually, there are people who are coming and looking for a bargain. And I get messages from my management, okay, sometime for a ridiculous price, sometime for a price that we can negotiate. So we're still selling at a much lower price. In Damac, we're going to suffer this year from the P&L point of view, but our cash flow is sufficient and we're taking enough measures to weather the crisis.
The coronavirus has reshuffled quite a few capital trends in terms of flows, but also generally movement of people and goods around the world. What are you seeing in terms of changes when it comes to your buyers? You're saying there's a lot of appetite. People are still coming up and looking for good deals. Is it still the same crowd that's coming to Damac from China, for example?
We don't have a lot of Chinese, but we have customers around the world. And yes, as I said, I see a lot of customers coming looking for a bargain. There is money around the world, and especially in the third world countries, in that 1% or 2% wealthy people, and they're looking for a bargain, and they're coming and looking for that.
So are you selling any assets at all, planning to dispose of any of your, let's say, valuable portions of your portfolio to safeguard liquidity and ongoing obligations? No, as I said, alhamdulillah, we are not under any pressure. We are not canceling a single project because most of our projects are 60% and more. We continue. We have enough money in the escrow to build the whole our entire project without any delay. We are focusing on the cash, on the collection. Yes, we're giving some discounts and some incentives for people who are willing to pay, let's say, ahead of time or on time. That's the thing we have done for the customers. But for the new sales, we have reduced prices to 5 to 10% in certain areas, but we're not reducing more than that. The folks at Standard & Poor's put out a report saying that Dubai property prices are going to retest the lows that we saw 10 years ago. Moody's put a note out as well just in the last 24 hours, warning that the imminent impact of the coronavirus in terms of economic activity. What would you tell the leadership in the United Arab Emirates about what else can be done?
I know they were working very hard to improve the demand, which was very important because you don't look at one side of the supply. Demand is very important. No matter how much supply you have, if you have more demand, you can do better. I think in 2020 going to be difficult. I don't think the subject of Corona going to disappear in a month or two. So everybody going to suffer in 2020. Let's take it. But I think they're going to put a lot of plans, and they're working a lot of plans for 2021 from expo point of view, increasing the tourism and creating more demand. And that's very important. Supply is happening what happened, and I don't think it will happen anymore. So supply already going to be halted. Now we need to push the demand.
That was my co-host, Yusuf Gamal Al-Din, with Mr. Sajwani there of DAMAC. Carla Slim is the Standard Chartered economist for the MENA region, Turkey and Pakistan. She's been listening in to that interview. 2008 was a piece of cake compared to the coronavirus. What is your take, Carla, at the moment? That's somebody at the front end of business. So if we look at the economics of 2008 and now, just look at the US data yesterday. How bad is it going to get now for us in our region?
Good morning, Manus. In terms of our growth forecast, yes, I would agree with the comments that were made. We are assuming a similar decline to the recession that we've seen in 2009, in the sense that we started the year with a growth forecast for the UAE of 2%, and we've now downgraded it to a contraction of 4.6%, which is a similar sort of delta to what we had seen between 2008 and 2009 for the UAE.
Are you leaning on conventional